What's up, guys? It's Bullseye coming at you with another video about me. Should be the last episode of this. I really hope so. Let's just go over the gameplay. This was a game battles match. It was actually in the Bic ladder. Um, I I feel like we actually lose this, but I go 10-4, so I was just trying to get a gameplay out there for you guys. Some of you may not even be watching the gameplay. Some of you may be listening. Some of you may not even be listening. Some of you may just be watching. I don't know. But let me just get into it. So we ended off, had my Xbox 360. I told you guys I got End War, then I got Gears of War 2. I love both those games, and then I got World at War, all these other games, blah, 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 that don't really matter. And I was just playing, and this was like my freshman year in high school. So let's start it. So, freshman year in high school, I was just kind of doing whatever, hanging out with a lot of friends. Basically, freshman year, all my friends who I hung out with at houses, and we'd play games, like we'd play Xbox 360. We'd play World at War just because it was a fun game, or we'd play like Halo 3, which I didn't actually have. So, um, you know, freshman year, not a big gaming year for me, I guess you could say. But going in my sophomore year, I had this group of friends that weren't really like hardcore gamers, but they kind of got to be. And I told you guys I got Gears of War 2, and I really liked that game, and I got really good at it eventually. And my friend and I played one day, and he's like, you're really good at this. There's this website where like you can compete and like win, and like it's like basically just trying to go against each other like on other teams. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. I've always been interested in like competition. I'm a very competitive person. Um, you guys may not know that. I'm very athletic. Every sport I play, I'm fairly competitive. I'm not super like overly competitive, but I'm pretty competitive. So yeah, I was interested, and I was like, okay, what's the site? He's like, all right, it's gamebattles.com, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. So sign up for it. Play Gears of War 2 on it. I remember like we played like maybe 2 games, and like we won one, lost one. I don't know. I remember losing one game, and like after we lost, like no one really wanted to play. And like I just got started. I had no clue what was going on. Like they were doing everything for me. I was so confused. And then eventually, my sophomore year, it was like 2010, and that's when MW2 came out. And I still had my Game Battles profile, but I totally forgot about it. And my friends were like, "Hey, this was after MW2 came out, like in like the December, January when it came out. They're like, "Hey, you remember that Game Battles website, right?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, that was okay." And he's like, "Hey, do you want to try to get a team together for MW2? Like, you're really good, and I was wondering if you wanted to team up." And I'm like, um, yeah, I'll try it. I'll try it out again. And so, I wasn't a big fan, mainly just because I didn't know what was going on. It was like it was so new to me, and it was so complicated at the time. I just didn't get it. But we played a few games together as a team, and basically back in the day in game battles, especially on MW2, most teams were not that good. And at this point, I didn't even know about like pro gamers. I didn't know about like Moho, about like any of the pro gamers at that time. I just, I thought it was cool game battles. Like I knew there were people who got paid to play, but I didn't know game battles was associated with a professional league. But eventually, I got out of playing with friends, and I took a break during the summer. And I remember going on this trip to Michigan with my dad, the Wisconsin Dells. Um, I remember going to Wisconsin Dells, and we had like a cottage up there, and we were on a lake. And I remember just sitting outside one day and thinking, that was really fun, and I really loved playing that game battle stuff. Maybe I should get back into it, because I was really good. And like we did win a few games, and we did lose a few games, but I felt like if I could get a really good team, I could do some big things. And so right when I got home from Wisconsin Dells. I went on Game Battles forums. I looked for a team. I searched for a team. I went on tryouts. I played every tryout I could. I tried out for different teams. I made like every team I tried out for, but some teams were just not good enough. And I finally found this one team. I will never forget these guys. I actually have one of the friends on my Twitter. I'm following him and he follows me. And these guys were the coolest guy. Favorite GB team, favorite team I've ever been on. They were those guys that, we were good and we were laid back at the same time. Like they didn't care if they lost. They did care. They didn't want to lose. But if we lost, big deal. It's just a game. That's how I want my teams to be. Like, yes, we want to win. And yes, we want to run strats. But, if you lose, you lose. That's what I like. And that's why I like that team so much. Because everyone was so chill and laid back. And everyone was so nice. And back in MW2, I loved it. I think MW2, I can clearly say behind COD 2, is my favorite Call of Duty. Just because of the fact that I had so much fun on GB. And mainly with that team. That whole summer, I played with that team. I played with those guys. And I love those guys to death. I still have them as friends on my Xbox gamertag. And, those guys, they may not all remember me so well, but those guys were awesome. I mean, they really got me into GB. I was talking about how COD 2 got me into, like, hardcore gaming. Well, GB actually started the competitive gaming scene for me. And that team started showing me, like, how good of a player I could be. And, like, how fun Game Battles was and how fun competitive gaming was. So, basically in a nutshell, eventually Black Ops came out, and after that GB team, we kind of, like, had a little falling out for a while, and, we eventually went our separate ways. We still had each other on our friends list and stuff, but eventually, got into some other teams, didn't do great. My GB rank went way down. I was on some bad losing streaks. And, but then, Black Ops came out. I remember I was talking to this guy I knew, and he was like, yeah, dude, Black Ops is actually pretty cool. You should definitely get it. Because that was one of the games where I was like, yeah, I don't know how good it's going to be. I don't really want to get a game that's not going to be that good. And he's like, no, dude, it's definitely good. Get it. So, Black Ops came out, and at the end, actually, sorry, I should go back a little bit. At the end of MW2, during that, like, my favorite team time, I should call it, I actually figured out that there was an MLG league, there was professional gamers. I remember watching, like, Icons, Extravagant and all them, and, like, Rambo playing in the Nationals tournament, because it was on the PCL. And I remember watching it online. So by the end of MW2, I knew there was like a professional league, and I knew there were some really great guys playing, and I was really into that professional stuff. And what was it, man? Oh, it was yeah. So it wasn't this. So Black Ops came out. I started on Black Ops, not playing GB, and then some friends from school actually played Black Ops with me. And I was like, hey, guys, play Black Ops together? And we were actually going to go to a tournament in a whole different state. Like, that's how, like, legit we were going to be. But we weren't actually that good to do it. So we ended up splitting up. I was just trying to get back into the competitive scene. And I was getting bigger and bigger. Like it was becoming more and more competitive over time. And, I mean, I was getting in more to GB. So I was winning more GB matches. I want to give a shout out to Gucci. He was one of the guys, I mean, mainly in MW2, at the start of MW2, I was big S&D only, and then at the end, I was big Variant, and then mostly through Black Ops, like the first part of Black Ops, I was big S&D star, and then I turned in like a Variant star, and then I would do some GB with S&D stars. So Gucci was like this guy who, me and him would always like tag team it, and we'd like just make each other better, and just by playing with each other, we just make each other so much better. And We were both like big S&D stars, always trying to be on great teams. We were eventually on shoot, what was the team's name? Well, they were either way, they were 12th or 13th on team ladder. They were an S&D variant maps only override team for Black Ops. Got on that team. Then in the summer, actually, yeah, by the end of school, so the start of summer, I started getting into the MLG scene, and I would do pickups. I was looking at AM teams. I was watching pro streams. By the middle of that summer, what happened was, so as you see, the game ended. By the end of that summer, they came out with a premium, and the premium did was for the ladders, for the big competitive scene, the professional players. You could watch them, and I had the HD stream. I watched every single one of the pro circuit games every time I could. Every weekend that it was on, I'd watch it, and I'd play. So that's basically it. And by the end of that summer, I ended up getting a Twitter, which is the Twitter I have now. I've had it for a while. I wasn't that active for the first half of it. And you know, from the second half of Black Ops to now, it's been like the biggest change because I like the second half of Black Ops is when I really started the variant and like the professional ladder and like really trying to grind for that, like trying to grind to get good and get in that AM squad. And I really wanted to get better, and that's where I am now. Eventually, I met Jake or Pride or Icaniac as he's known now today. He's on Damage Control with a few other great guys, and I remember I met him in Black Ops, and we've been pretty good friends since. And yeah, the rest is history, man. So I hope you guys really like this series. I hope you guys kind of like gave you a glimpse into my whole gaming career, as if you want to call it. Hope you guys like the gameplays. All three of them were S&D maps. They're pretty good gameplays, I think. So yeah, hope you guys see you later. You know what to do: like, favorite, subscribe, comment if you have any questions, and yeah, hope you guys have a good day.